Morning, Your Honor. Stevenson Nagel for the defense.
For the people, Ms. Lewis.
What's the charge?
Murder.
We have the papers? Call your first witness.
Judge, I just want to be clear. The only witness is the police officer, from whom we intend to elicit statements of the deceased regarding the description of the perpetrator.
Are these dying declarations?
No, they're not.
Step back. Mr. Nagel.
Thank you, Your Honor. In an attempt to defeat an apparent ocean of seemingly prejudicial circumstantial evidence, one is ineluctably led back to the state of New York versus Tompkins, 1938.
Begging the court's pardon, Your Honor, may I confer?
You may confer, Ms. Rosenberg.
Piece of shit. You are nothing without me.
You're never gonna get anyone as good as me to work with a backstabbing asshole like you if you fuck this up. I'll make sure of that. And I'll tell you something else. You're never gonna get me. And once I tell Laney exactly what happened, you're never gonna get another woman either. Believe me. This is truth, Stevenson. If you want a career and Laney, you get up there and you read my presentation word for word with passion and sincerity. Or you're finished. You understand?
Thank you, Your Honor. Excuse me. As I was saying, murder is the gravest charge our state can bring against one of its citizens. This is what my client is charged with, without the benefit of one single supportable fact. The charge is based entirely on a police report taken 2 days after an alleged assault, not a murder, and then revised 10 days later, all 2 months before Mr. Marquette died. Police records plainly show, Your Honor, that it took over 2 weeks and 2 police interviews before the then-living Mr. Marquette even mentioned the bizarre and absurd motive that this charge turns on. The prosecutor would have you believe that the deceased was the victim of a brutal gang-style revenge hit because he ran over a dog. But even more remarkable is the fact that nowhere in the police report does it say the deceased ever killed a dog. The deceased says, and I quote, "A dog ran out in front of me a while ago. Maybe I hit it," end of quote, and quote, "I don't think I did run over his dog." Most importantly, the his in this statement is a man the deceased spent the evening of June 16th and early morning of June 17th with, who allegedly threw the deceased out of his own car and ran him over. The deceased identified this assailant as Tom Rubenstein. But the charge of murder in this incident is not directed at a Tom Rubenstein. It is directed rather at Thomas Arthur Brayborn. Now, Mr. Brayborn's dog was in fact killed by a hit-and-run driver. He has no knowledge of who the hit-and-run driver was, which is, of course, the very definition of hit-and-run. But there is not one single shred of evidence that ever places Mr. Brayborn in the company of the deceased, nor is there one single shred of evidence that places Mr. Brayborn in the Bronx neighborhood where the deceased was so brutally assaulted. Unable to locate a Tom Rubenstein fitting the required profile of a man with a dead dog, the police now lowered the bar and satisfied themselves that 2 out of 3 variables would suffice to make an arrest in this case. But the 2 variables in this case aren't fingerprints or an eyewitness. They are Tom and dead dog. Excuse me. 90,321 men in the state of New York named either Thomas or Tom. Every day in the state of New York, 28 dogs are reported hit by a vehicle. Inevitably, it will occur.
Enough. Ms. Lewis?
Your Honor, this case was constructed on the assumption that the victim would identify the assailant, Mr. Braeburn. However, after his discharge from the hospital, the victim suddenly and unexpectedly suffered a reversal and died.
Ms. Lewis, given that your evidence is deceased, do you have or are you in the process of gathering other evidence that will support the charge?
Frankly, no, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Mr. Nagel, the court concurs with counsel. Prosecution has failed to establish reasonable cause. The matter of the People versus Braeburn is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Congratulations all around.
Hey.
Thank God you're back.
Well, since I have the most to celebrate, lunch is on me.
And I think I should get to choose, don't you?
Oh, I certainly do.
Hey, Stevenson. It's pretty nasty coffee you got there. You take anything for it?
Don't say anything, please.
You see his eyes? It's the look they all get when they get away with it. He did it. Damn it. I know he did it.
He started it. I'm just really glad that Mr. Braeburn doesn't have to go to jail, you know? You did everything you could, Bunny. Let's get out of here.
You gotta admit, that was pretty low. You know, I've tolerated you for a long time, Stevenson, for Perry's sake, and now I find myself covering your ass for Laney's sake. I figure the only way I can hurt you, and only you, is in your wallet.
You talking about blackmail?
Not at all. It's for charity. How much you got on you?
I don't know, $600-700? That'll buy your silence forever.
Well, it'll buy my silence, period. This will be the last conversation we'll ever have.
Agreed.
Here's your charity.
You want me to give that guy $600-700?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Hey, pal. It's for you.
Hey, you suck! Hey! Fucking idiot son of a bitch! I got more money than most people make all year!
Easy.
That's very funny, Tom. Very funny. You're a sick fuck, you know that?